Kazakhstan is a vast and sparsely populated country, and it lies in between two other vast and infinitely more powerful countries, Russia to the north and west and China to the south and east. Until 1991, it was part of the Soviet Union. And when the USSR fell apart, the country's communist leader, Nursultan Nazarbayev, became its first president, and he remained the man in charge for almost 2 decades. Now, Nazarbayev stepped down in 2019, but he was still the power behind the scenes. His hand-picked successor is Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, and one of his first acts as president was to rename the capital Astana after his old boss, Nur-Sultan, so signalling to the people of Kazakhstan that they shouldn't expect radical change. It's this sense of stagnation, a narrow elite dominating the political and economic life of the nation, that has led to these protests, which are really unprecedented in Kazakhstan's history. They began in the oil-rich west of the country over a rise in the price of fuel, but they spread quickly. This was Almaty, the capital, the largest city in Kazakhstan today. Protesters stormed the mayor's office, they set it on fire. There are also reports that the international airport has been seized by demonstrators. Many international flights have been cancelled. Police have been responding with tear gas, stun grenades and with water cannon in the frozen streets. At points, the protesters appeared to gain the upper hand. They were chasing the riot police away and snatching their equipment. Now, not all the protests were violent. This was the western city of Aktobe. Also today, you can see some protesters and then a line of riot police who appear to be guarding a government building. The protesters advance on them, and you can hear a woman shout, "The police are with the people." Now, it's not clear whether the officers were told by their superiors not to act or whether they were showing their sympathies.
The balance of power has now shifted from the government to the streets, and the protesters are storming government buildings. Kazakhstan is following its own political transformation right now. The outcome of this transformation, we're not sure what will it be. Will it be a new form of authoritarianism, or will it be a more open political system?
Now, the protesters also toppled the statue of the father of the nation, Nursultan Nazarbayev. And to add insult to injury, his successor, the current president, effectively sacked him from his position for life on the National Security Council and assumed the post himself.
This is evidence of an elaborate plan of action prepared by the financially motivated plotters. Therefore, as the head of state, and from today, the president of the Security Council, I intend to act as tough as possible.
Despite the fighting talk from the president, we've not seen the kind of violent crackdown from the security forces in Kazakhstan that we saw, for example, in Belarus recently. The Russian president discussed the situation today with his counterpart there, and at home, Vladimir Putin has presided over a sweeping crackdown on dissent in the past year. In Russia, many will be watching the situation in Kazakhstan closely, both in the Kremlin and among what remains of the opposition. A similar uprising now seems virtually impossible there, but then, as Kazakhstan shows, things often seem impossible until they're not.
No one really expected that a country as large as this could rise against the regime simultaneously in many different parts of the country. Russia is a big country as well, and the size of the country does save the country from popular uprisings for some time, but not forever. This is a process that we see in all of the former Soviet countries, where the people are rising against the system of governance that was built by the Soviets to serve the leaders and not the people.
Now, just before we came on air, it was announced that peacekeepers from a Russian-led alliance of ex-Soviet states would be sent to Kazakhstan. The speed with which these protests have spread has taken everyone by surprise, and what happens next will depend on two things: whether the people in the streets can organise and keep up the momentum, and how the president and the security forces then respond.